Let's dive into an ancient text that makes a pretty wild promise that you can understand someone's entire soul just by looking at them.
I mean, it's a tempting idea, right? Think about it. When you meet someone new, can you really tell what they're like just from their face?
Well, for centuries, a kind of ancient science claimed the answer was a definite yes. And to get our heads around this, we're going to look at a specific guide, the Kitab al-Firasah, which basically translates to the Book of Physiognomy. And trust me, it gives us a fascinating and sometimes pretty shocking look into a worldview that's completely different from ours. Okay, so let's get into it. How exactly did this old school science of reading people actually work? Well, it all started with one really powerful idea that kind of shaped everything. Basically, the core belief was this: the way you look on the outside wasn't just random. Nope. It was seen as the physical signature of your soul. Everything about you, your personality, how smart you are, your good qualities, your flaws, all of it was supposedly etched right onto your face and body for anyone to read. And this wasn't just some random folklore. It was treated as a formal practice, a serious field of study by scholars back in the day. It even had its own name and a whole set of principles. So in the Arabic world, this art was called Firasah, and what that means, really, is the skill of figuring out what's hidden on the inside by looking very closely at what you can see on the outside. It's kind of like this deep intuition based on physical clues. This quote from the book really sums it all up, doesn't it? The idea was that your soul and your body aren't two separate things at all. They're totally intertwined. You change one, the other changes too. And that single, powerful idea? That was the foundation for this whole field of physiognomy. Okay, this brings us to one of the most memorable parts of physiognomy. It's this powerful and honestly kind of surprising idea that we humans share our most basic traits with animals. And the theory behind it was actually pretty straightforward. Think about it. Animals have these really distinct, well-known traits, right? A lion is courageous, a fox is cunning. So the thinking went, if a person's face kind of looked like a lion or a fox, then they must share that animal's personality. Simple as that. So let's look at some actual examples from the book. If you had features that looked like a lion, well, you were probably courageous, but also had a bit of a temper. What if you looked like a fox? That meant you were clever, but maybe a little deceitful. And resembling a wolf? Oh, that was a bad sign. It meant you were treacherous and greedy. It's a really fascinating, even if it's a super simplistic, way to box up human nature. But hey, the analysis didn't just stop with animals. Not even close. The book gets incredibly specific. It's basically a detailed instruction manual for judging someone's character based on pretty much every single part of the human body. And some of the claims in this book are, well, they're pretty bold. For instance, it gets really focused on something as simple as how much hair a person has on their body. And the verdict? It's not exactly flattering. According to the author, having a lot of body hair was a dead giveaway that you had a dull nature and weren't very smart. I mean, that's a seriously harsh judgment to make based on just one thing. But it wasn't all negative stuff. Other features were seen as really positive signs, especially when you looked at the face. So, for example, if you had a wide forehead and wide-set eyes, you were basically considered a top-tier person. Good character, super smart. It's pretty clear this system had its heroes and its villains, all based on looks. Okay, what about something like the neck? You might think that's a pretty random detail, but in the world of Firasah, every single part of the body told a story. And in this case, a long, thin neck told a story of foolishness. Yeah, it was seen as a clear sign of someone who was ignorant and reckless. Just another huge conclusion drawn from one little physical detail. And listen, we are just scratching the surface here. The full book is like this giant catalog with interpretations for everything. The shape of your nose, the color of your eyes, even the shape of your feet. It was this massive, systematic attempt to literally map out the human soul. So, okay, what do we do with all this information today? How are we supposed to look at this ancient practice through our modern eyes? Well, first off, let's be absolutely clear about one thing. Today, the entire field of physiognomy is considered a pseudoscience. There is zero basis for it in modern biology or psychology. None. There is just no scientific evidence, none at all, to back up the idea that you can reliably tell what someone's character is like from the shape of their nose or how wide their forehead is. These are just baseless ideas that have been completely and totally debunked over and over again. And yet, that leaves us with one final, kind of uncomfortable question. Even though we've totally dismissed the science of it all, have we really gotten rid of the habit? How much of that ancient impulse to judge a book by its cover still shapes our first impressions, in our everyday lives? It's definitely something to think about.